Welcome to the Moon Manifesting Podcast with Kyra Howearth. Hi, I'm Kyra, business astrologer, moon manifesting mama, author, teacher, and mentor. I teach you how to harness the energy of the moon, stars, and cosmos so you can manifest your dreams and discover a deeper purpose to your life. Welcome to the Moon Manifesting Podcast. Today we have a very special guest. We have Kathryn Hocking, who is a business astrologer, and she's going to be chatting to us all about business astrology, which is a really fascinating kind of sub-branch of astrology. So I've got a bit of a bio here that I'll read out all about Kathryn. So Kathryn Hocking is a renowned business astrologer, astro brand strategist, and creator of the Business Astrology Oracle deck. And if you're watching on the video version, I've actually got it in the background here as well. She's an expert business astrologer. She really loves working with launching. She's a launch strategist and soulful launching mentor. And she has also created several wildly successful online programs. Kathryn helps soul-led female entrepreneurs be brave, be visible, and launch their soul work into the world using the art and science of astrology. So a big welcome to you, Kathryn.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Yay, I'm so excited to have you here. So my first question that I would love to just dive in with is, how did you get started with business astrology? What drew you to working with business astrology?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. It was fairly organic, but so when it's funny when people ask me when I got into astrology, it's like there's two answers. Like a lot of females, I loved it in high school. I'd read the Dolly, horoscopes or whatever. And I would go to the library and devour the books they had. But then I kind of forgot about it because it was not remotely acceptable within my family to be into astrology or really anything spiritual, to be honest. They're very much intellectual boffins in my family. So I was never encouraged to really have it in my life. So I kind of forgot about it. And then I created my business back in, I think it was like 2012. And so I had a whole other business to begin with. I had a very successful online program, the e-course launch formula, and did that for probably 6 or 7 years. Went through a bit of a spiritual awakening after I'd had my first child, and really felt like, even though what I was doing was very successful, I had $1 million e-course, like it was very, very successful, but it just felt surface level. It didn't feel super meaningful to me. I just kind of had this sense, no, this isn't actually what you're meant to be doing. So I went off on this journey. I did a soul and energy medicine practitionership to begin with. Learned a whole lot of things like kinesiology and all that sort of thing. But what I learned from that was that I'm really uncoordinated. Like my body, I've been told I have healing hands, but really I don't have the coordination for things like kinesiology and muscle testing and all of that sort of stuff. So it's like, okay, I love this, but this still isn't my thing. But what happened was, one of the women that I did the practitionership with was, at the time, she's not doing it anymore, but at the time was running a year-long astrology training program. And I remembered that I'd been really into it when I was younger, and I went, you know what, yeah, I didn't know where it was going to go, but I was like, yeah, let's study astrology. This sounds cool. And honestly, within probably the first week or the second week of doing that program, I was like, this is my thing. Like, it was just that moment of, yeah, this is the thing I've been searching for. And I guess with the business astrology, my brain just immediately went to how you could apply this in business, because I'd already had a business for, 7, 8 years or something. And I'd already done a lot of business coaching with clients and a lot of launch strategy. And I think it's just where my head went. And I assumed there'd be heaps out there about business astrology. And when I looked, there really wasn't. There wasn't any books that I could find. There wasn't any courses that I could find. And it is one of my skills, I guess you might call it, is that I tend to identify things that are opportunities that perhaps haven't really been done yet. And for me, business astrology, specializing into that, was kind of one of those things where I'm like, there's a real opportunity here. There isn't good quality education on this. There aren't even really many books that I found that are specifically about entrepreneurs. There's a lot of career astrology stuff, right? But not so much for the business, entrepreneurial. We've had this massive tech online boom. And so it's just like, yeah, there's a need for this. And yeah, that's kind of how I got into it. But it was, as I said, it was fairly organic based on skills that I already had and just using astrology as a beautiful, soulful tool to weave into that.
Yeah, that really makes so much sense. And I feel like that kind of like as you were talking about that, it kind of reminded me like of how I got into astrology too, like, going through a spiritual awakening, then being called into the spiritual realm. And yeah, it's just really fascinating how like all the different pieces of your life kind of fell together to
Yeah.
lead you to this path. So that's really awesome to hear. So what I'd love to dive into next is what exactly is business astrology? So yeah, for those who are listening and they may not know exactly what business astrology is, like what it covers, maybe, yeah, do you want to guide us through a bit about that?
So I guess in a way, like I can only tell you my interpretation because as I said, there's not a lot of big published writers on this or whatever. So I have a business astrology certification and I got at this point in time 2 levels. So the first level and then an advanced level. And the way that I've designed those programs is that in the first level, we're not looking at a business chart, we're looking at your natal chart, but we're applying what your natal or birth chart says or tells us about your most soul aligned business and about, I guess, the best way for you to work within your soul aligned business, how to use your energy, how to connect with customers, who your soul clients are. But we do it from your natal chart. The second level, so once people have all the foundations that you need in astrology, we then start doing things like running a business chart. And in the second level, we look at, well, what's the unique higher level energy of your business? And it's about people understanding that your business has an energy that is bigger and greater than you and your natal chart, and that you're obviously a big part of that, but that the business can source energy from other people and other institutions and other service providers, and it also has this mission that is likely bigger than just you. So, and then in the advanced certification, we do a lot of more advanced other techniques as well. So things like planning for your business, sort of like year ahead type planning, things like launching, so electional astrology, where we're looking at what's the most aligned timing for you to be launching different things in the world. We do some astrocartography, which as a Sag Sun, I just love astrocartography. And I've applied it to business to help people work out, well, where's the best place for them to run business events or run retreats, or if they're doing a book tour, like what would the best locations in the world be to do events for that? So I still apply that to business as well. And then we're also looking at the asteroid goddesses, and we'll be looking at that both in their business chart and in their natal chart as well. So as I said, there's no like absolute prescription for this because it's quite a new field in astrology. Yeah. So I'm getting to create it as I go and be one of the big contributors to it, which is exciting.
Yeah, that really is. Like I feel like you're paving the way forward for spiritual entrepreneurs, like for women who are running their own business, but they want to weave some more of that soulfulness into their business. Like what you are offering is so perfect. And I really love all those different things that are covered in business astrology, like launch dates and planning ahead. Like it's so helpful.
Yeah. I just also feel like one of the big things that I'm passionate about through business astrology is that women are not really made for the corporate world or the hustle culture. Our bodies work differently. We're very intuitive beings. And what astrology does is it really helps us to work in more alignment with our natural cycles. And that's a big part of what I love helping teach women and helping them learn, because I think so many of us are turning to business, online business, because working for a big corporation, a masculine patriarchal corporation, just doesn't work for us. It just totally burns us out. So I think that's really exciting with astrology, is that we can learn a lot more. What's our natural action taking style? What do we need to be vital? What do we need to nurture ourselves? And that, I really love that about astrology.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. I really love that. Like diving more into the like a feminine flow within our business rather than like that masculine, more structured sort of energy. That is so perfect. It's a really beautiful way to describe astrology and business. I love that. So, do you have some easy tips for our listeners that might help them to start incorporate some astrology into business? Like, what's maybe a starting point that maybe someone who's already a bit familiar with their natal chart, how they could, maybe look at that through the lens of business astrology?
Sure. So I think one of the really big insights, and actually this was confirmed again this week. So I've got my level 1 starting this week, and they were introducing themselves, and they sort of also talked about like what drew them to my program, and everything they were describing was very Virgo. Okay. And I'm a Virgo rising, but I don't have any other Virgo in my chart. I don't have any personal planets in Virgo, nothing, just my rising angle, my ascendant. And that just proved to me how powerful our rising sign is in terms of how other people see us and what attracts them to us. And at different times, I haven't really harnessed that Virgo energy as well as I could have. And the times when I haven't, my business has suffered as a result. But the times when I've really gone, okay, well, if this is what people love about me, let's embrace that and really bring it into my business, then the business flourishes. So I think like one tip for everyone is just to look at your rising sign, the sign that your ascendant angle is in, and feel into, are you really actually harnessing the energy of that zodiac sign? I think that is a really super powerful thing to do for your business. When I first discovered astrology, I had in my head that if I was going to be an astrologer, I needed to be this real Piscean, mystic kind of person. And so I kind of tried to do that, but I don't have any planets in Pisces. I've got my DC angle in Pisces, so I'm very attracted to Pisceans or Piscean type people, but it's not who I am. When I moved over to more of the grounded healer, the Virgo energy, then things flowed again. So it's super powerful. And the second thing I'd say is just, and it's so common these days, really, just working with the moon cycles. So look up every new moon and look ahead. I do it for a year in advance. I look what house is each new moon activating in my chart, and I plan my activities, business activities, based on that. Like we were talking about before we started the call, I took a retreat to Bali recently when my 12th house was being activated, because that's perfect for rest and retreat. So I think just starting to plan your business activities in alignment with the houses that get activated at the new moon.
Yeah, that is a really powerful tip. Well, both of those tips are super powerful. I really love the idea of leaning into our rising signs, like to show up more authentically as well. Like that's something I've been really discovering more within my personal life recently, is about how to be more authentic. And our rising signs are definitely like, when you lean into that energy, that is how you can express yourself more authentically. Thank you so much for sharing those tips, Kathryn. I love those. So what I love to talk about with my guests on the Moon Manifesting podcast is I like to bring up your big three, your sun, moon, and rising, and talk a little bit about that and how that kind of explains like why you're so called to your career path. So Kathryn, you're a Sagittarius sun, a Cancer moon, and a Virgo rising, which you've just talked about as well. And what I really love about this is that as a Sagittarius sun, you're like a natural teacher. Like it's really so obvious why you love teaching online courses and why you were bringing people through like astrology certification programs and all that, because you love teaching and going really in depth. I'm a Gemini sun, so I'm kind of like on the opposite end of the scale where like I love to teach and talk, but it's very superficial. Whereas Sagittarius, you guys go much deeper into the energy. And Cancer moon, which is actually in your 11th house, with moon in the 11th house, it's all about bringing people together like in group situations and making them feel nurtured. And again, like, you know, you do these group programs and you're taking people on a retreat later this year as well, like beautiful opportunities to bring people together. And as a Virgo rising, I feel like that's really interesting how you brought that up about how that plays through your business, like showing up as like the grounded healer, because our rising signs are all about how we appear to the outer world, like how other people view us. And it's really interesting how you were saying like that's the sort of people that you're attracting into your latest round of your astrology program. So yeah, really fascinating that like even as an astrologer, you said that you don't have any Pisces energy. And I feel that's like a common misperception that people think like you've got to be really Piscean to like be an astrologer or tarot reader or Reiki healer or whatever. But this really goes to prove that you don't need any Pisces energy to pursue this calling.
Yeah, and actually it's Aquarius that rules astrology anyway. So, you know,
Yeah.
that probably, and I don't have a lot of Aquarius either. I've got my South Node. So the way I think of it is that I've been doing this for many lifetimes. But yeah, it's interesting, but we do tend to associate different healing type professions and spiritual professions with Pisces. And my teacher was a Pisces, and that's probably why that association was created for me. But actually, it's my Virgo that my students love. The way they describe me is like practical, organized, you know, structured. It's like that, yeah, that feeling like, yeah, I've got a real structure and process to the way that I teach, and that's what they love. So yeah, you've got to harness it.
That's right. Yeah, you've got to embrace those energies on your chart. Like you can't deny who you are. Like you've, yeah, just really got to show up with authenticity and shine that light into the world. Yeah, beautiful. So my last question for you is, how can soulful female entrepreneurs, how can they work with you to learn more about business astrology? What are the offerings that you currently have available?
Sure. So they can head on over to my site at kathrynhocking.com to find out more. I've got a number of different things. I've got a free astrology basics course that they can go through if they're quite new to astrology and they want to get their head around the basics. If they want to actually learn astrology to the point where they can be using it with clients and bring it into their business, then my level 1 or level 2 certifications are a great place for them to go to. But I also have smaller bite-sized trainings like astrology toolkits on my site as well. And I do a small amount of astrology readings. I don't do heaps of them because, as you kind of identified, I've got a 3rd house Sag Sun. Teaching is really my main calling, but I do some astrology readings as well.
Yeah, perfect. And I know that you've got a free astrology business, astrology basics course on your website as well. So I'll pop a link in the show notes below for everyone to go, check out the astrology basics course to get a grip on, the basics of astrology. And last question, where can we find you? Where can we connect with you online?
I'm probably most active on Instagram. So my handle is just Kathryn_Hocking at Instagram. I'm also on Facebook, so you can find me on Facebook as well. Have to admit, I've never had like massive momentum on social media. So I don't like use it massively for my business, but Instagram I like because I can just post those photos when I'm traveling or when I'm doing things and sort of interact in a less structured, more spontaneous ways. So yeah, definitely Instagram's the place to find me.
Yeah. And I love following you on Instagram. Like I see your posts almost every day and it's like, oh, this is what Kathryn's up to today.
I was so impressed when I saw your Instagram following numbers. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's incredible. Well done to you. But, and it's all in my chart anyway, but that's not my thing, building massive numbers there. I connect in other ways, but
Yeah.
super impressed when I saw yours.
Yeah, well, I have Fema, the asteroid of like fame, in my first house. So I think it kind of explains like why I'm Insta famous.
Beautiful. I love it.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Kathryn, for being a guest on the Moon Manifesting podcast. I will put all the relevant links in the show notes below for Kathryn's Astrology Basics course, where you can find her website and also her Instagram handle. You'll find all the links below, so you can all go ahead and check out more about Kathryn Hocking for all your business astrology needs. So thanks again for being on the show, Kathryn. It was such a pleasure to talk to you today.
Oh, thanks so much for having me. It's been heaps of fun.
Thank you for listening to the Moon Manifesting podcast. If you're wanting more moon magic, check out my book, Moon Manifesting. Download your free Moon Manifesting calendar or connect with me on social media. You can do all of that at kyrahowearth.com.au. Stay magical, stay manifesting, and stay tuned. I'll speak with you in the next episode.